Sargon of Akkad stands as one of the most influential figures of the ancient world, not only because he created what is widely regarded as the first true empire in human history, but also because he reshaped the political, linguistic, and cultural trajectory of Mesopotamia for centuries to come. His origins, preserved in later legendary texts, portray him as a child of secrecy, placed in a basket of reeds, and set adrift on a river, only to be rescued and raised by a gardener of Kish. While the historical accuracy of this tale is uncertain, its persistence illustrates how Mesopotamians came to understand him, a ruler who emerged from obscurity through divine favor and exceptional ability. Historical evidence suggests he served as cupbearer to Yorzababa, king of Kish, a position of both prestige and proximity to power. At some point, likely through a mixture of revolt, political maneuvering, and military success, Sargon seized control of the city and began the expansionist campaigns that would define his reign. Once in power, Sargon demonstrated an extraordinary aptitude for both military strategy and administrative innovation. He launched systematic campaigns against the Sumerian city-states, Uruk, Ur, Lagash, Umma, and others, defeating their kings and dismantling the long-standing pattern of independent, competing southern city polities. His forces appear to have operated with a degree of organization uncommon for the period, possibly including a permanent corps of professional soldiers supported by levied troops. Sargon's success relied heavily on mastery of Mesopotamia's network of rivers and canals. His armies were equipped with fleets able to move supplies, troops, and communications rapidly across vast distances. Contemporary inscriptions claim that Sargon fought 34 battles during his career and conquered lands, from the Lower Sea to the Upper Sea, referring respectively to the Persian Gulf and the Mediterranean, an astonishing geographical scope for the time. After forging control over the Sumerian plain, Sargon strengthened his grip by installing Akkadian governors, known as *NC*, or *Sakanaku*, to oversee key cities. These officials enforced imperial authority, collected tribute, supervised large-scale labor projects, and maintained order. He also placed trusted family members in high positions across the realm, the most famous being his daughter Enheduanna, appointed high priestess of the moon god Nanna in Ur. Enheduanna's religious and literary works served a political purpose. They helped integrate the Sumerian religious tradition with the rising Akkadian state, legitimizing her father's rule through theological synthesis, and affirming the unity of the empire under the god's favor. Her surviving hymns, some of the earliest identifiable works of literature, openly praise the power of the gods, while subtly reinforcing the central authority of Akkad. Akkad, Sargon's newly constructed capital, became a cosmopolitan center of administration and culture, though its physical location remains lost. From this hub, the empire coordinated long-distance trade networks that connected Mesopotamia to distant regions. Evidence from archaeological sites suggests that Sargon's administration dealt in materials such as copper from Oman, timber from the Levant, silver from Anatolia, and perhaps even goods from the Indus Valley civilization. The Akkadian Empire encouraged a standardized system of weights and measures, promoted increased agricultural productivity through irrigation management, and influenced economic practices across multiple territories. The Akkadian language, used in administrative tablets and monumental inscriptions, gradually became the dominant written language of the region, shaping diplomatic and bureaucratic communication for centuries. Despite his achievements, Sargon's reign was not free from conflict. Contemporary and later sources mention that rebellions broke out repeatedly, perhaps fueled by resentment toward Akkadian governors and heavy tribute demands. A significant drought or famine is mentioned in later chronicles, suggesting environmental strain may have intensified unrest. Sargon nevertheless claimed to have reconquered every rebellious region, asserting his authority even in the face of persistent uprisings. His later years may have been spent stabilizing the empire rather than expanding it, though records remain fragmentary. After Sargon's death, instability quickly resurfaced. His sons Rimush and Manishtushu inherited an empire plagued by widespread revolts, and although both rulers succeeded in temporarily restoring control, each met violent ends. Only with the reign of Sargon's grandson Naram-Sin did the empire reach a second peak of power, culminating in the ruler declaring himself a living god, an unprecedented step in Mesopotamian kingship. Yet even Naram-Sin could not prevent the empire from eventually succumbing to internal fracturing and external pressures, leading to its collapse and the rise of the so-called Akkadian period. Sargon's memory endured long after his empire fell. Later Babylonian and Assyrian rulers studied accounts of his reign as exemplary models of conquest and governance. Mesopotamian scribes preserved legendary narratives about him, depicting him as a heroic figure chosen by the gods, whose life embodied the ideal of the divinely sanctioned ruler. Through these stories, his influence became mythic, echoing through the political ideology of subsequent empires. Even in the absence of his city's physical remains, the administrative practices, linguistic legacy, and imperial model he pioneered established patterns that shaped the ancient Near East for over a millennium, securing his place as one of the most transformative figures in early human civilization.